¿Dónde está lo de pasar la diapositiva? Sí.
A ver, pues buenas tardes a todos. Yo soy Rodrigo Martín Rojas y vamos a comenzar ya con la última presentación del segundo Foro de Turismo. En esta presentación, como podéis ver, es la mesa internacional que tenemos de presentación del foro y vamos a traer a 4 representantes de diferentes universidades. En este caso, os voy a decir el orden de los que vamos a hablar, de cómo vamos a hablar, pero os presentaremos distintas partes de un proyecto. Entonces, a mi derecha del todo tenéis a Jami Riihikutta, de la Universidad Laurea de Finlandia, y él va a comenzar la presentación hablando de un proyecto de investigación docencia, un poco de mezcla entre ambos, que trabajamos con alumnos de distintas universidades, ahora lo presentaré. Y va a comenzar la presentación hablando de este proyecto, de en qué consiste, cómo se realiza. En segundo lugar, va a hablar Gracia Peregrín, de la Universidad de Granada. En este caso, la presentación va a ser Turismo y Patrimonio Mundial para la Ciudadela de Melilla. Gracia Peregrín es, aparte de compañera de mi departamento de la Universidad de Granada, de Organización de Empresas, es directora técnica de turismo de la Concejalía de Turismo del Ayuntamiento de Granada, pero con el centro Federico García Lorca, que está, bueno, los que conozcáis Granada, en la Plaza de la Romanía. En tercer lugar tenemos a una representante de nuestra alianza Arcus en la Universidad de Granada, que son 6 universidades. En este caso tenemos la Universidad de Padua, una representante de la Universidad de Padua, que sería Francesca Bassi. Y Francesca Bassi pues, nos va a hablar un poco del papel de la economía circular, tanto que estamos hablando estos días de economía circular desde el primer día, la primera presentación, pues la economía circular, la sostenibilidad y el turismo nos va a hablar un poco del papel de la estadística en estos temas. Luego hablaremos, nos presentará. Y por último tenemos también otro compañero de la Universidad de Klaipėda en Lituania, Eduardas Spirayevas, que también es, bueno, también lo he dicho antes, pero tanto Gracia como Eduardas, aunque él viene como coordinador del proyecto, están colaborando también con el proyecto Motion, que es el proyecto que tenéis allá atrás en la presentación puesto. Él colabora como parte de la Universidad de Klaipėda y él es geógrafo, que no tiene mucho que ver con el mundo de management, pero alguna cosa tiene que ver con el mundo del turismo. Entonces, va a hablar un poco de geoestrategia y la importancia que tiene la geoestrategia para Melilla. De hecho, algunos de los comentarios que hicieron esta mañana los compañeros, él los conoce muy bien y sabe más o menos cómo la geografía de Melilla justamente puede suponer una oportunidad buenísima para la ciudad. Y lo comentará un poco la situación. Y Gracia también hablará un poco no hablará del proyecto, pero sí que es verdad que está colaborando con nosotros en el proyecto para lo que es el estudio del caso. De hecho, con el Centro García Lorca hicimos un estudio de muchos estudiantes, que algunos de ellos los habéis visto por aquí presentando, que ahora vendrán dentro de un rato también, y los veréis por aquí trabajando. Teniendo esto en cuenta esta información, como es la hora que es y tenemos que irnos pronto, no voy a intentar demorarme mucho, con lo cual voy a ir un poco rápido, os voy a presentar el proyecto y luego le doy el paso a Jan para que comience a hablar. Ahí tenéis atrás cómo se llama el proyecto, el acrónimo sería Proyecto Motion y realmente el título es From Overtourism to Innovation. Bueno, yo os estoy hablando en español, si no os importa voy a explicarlo en español y luego ya continúo en inglés para que todos puedan entenderlo. ¿Vale? El proyecto se llama From Overtourism to Innovation, Sustainable Solutions in the European Union. En este caso, como podéis ver en la parte de atrás, tenéis a mi izquierda, a mi izquierda tenéis el Design Thinking, que es un proceso que a lo mejor ya todos empezáis a conocer. Este proceso consiste en cómo las decisiones se tienen que ir tomando con la empatía, conociendo a la gente para tener soluciones innovadoras. Pero este proyecto no nos queremos quedar ahí, de hecho es lo que va a comentar un poco Yami. Queremos introducir la siguiente parte, que es no el Design Thinking en la actualidad, sino el Design Thinking en el futuro. ¿Qué va a pasar en los próximos 3, 5, 10 años? De hecho, nosotros estamos tomando un horizonte temporal de 10 años. ¿Seremos sostenibles? ¿No seremos sostenibles? ¿Qué ocurrirá con el turismo? Ahora os comentaré un poco la problemática que hay y ya le doy el paso. En este proyecto tenéis los datos, fue concedido en 2020 al principio, de hecho si miráis la fecha, nos estuvimos reuniendo antes, de hecho en febrero ya nos lo concedieron de 2020, pero si dais la fecha fue justo en 2020. En 2020 tuvimos pandemia, con lo cual tenemos un proyecto recién concedido con pandemia, un proyecto que además consiste en turismo sostenible. Turismo que tenemos que hacer visitas en otras universidades, no podíamos viajar. Con lo cual, el primer año, ese 2020, fue un poco parado todo. De hecho, fuimos haciendo todas las reuniones online y este año justamente ya por fin se abrió todo y todo lo que hemos pospuesto, pues lo estamos haciendo ahora. Y hemos tenido ya este año 3 reuniones que teníamos que haber hecho en 2021 y ahora dentro de 2 semanas y dentro del 4 tenemos las 2 últimas reuniones en las distintas universidades. Ahí tenéis la duración del proyecto, a qué programa pertenecen, es un K2, un Capacity Building, y el principal objetivo del proyecto es un proceso de consultoría de formación de estudiantes. En este caso, abajo tenéis las universidades, aunque las pongo ahora, los logos son la Claypeda University, de donde pertenece Eduardas, con otra compañera que se llama Daiva, que son los que coordinan el proyecto allí. La universidad, no sé si la conocéis, a Copérnico lo conocéis, pues la Universidad Nicolás Copérnico de Torun, que es una universidad polaca, que está en Torun, que en este caso ellos también están colaborando. La Universidad de Kiel, que está en Alemania, en el norte de Alemania, casi pegando a Bélgica, Dinamarca. Luego, si os dais cuenta, tenemos también, que lo tenéis aquí arriba del todo, la Universidad de Laurea, que está en azul, Laurea University, que aunque parezca un nombre italiano, es finlandesa. Y la última la tengo ahí en la esquina, la Universidad de Granada. Y si os dais cuenta, está un poco camuflado, pero necesitamos transferencia. Este proyecto no se puede quedar sin transferencia. Necesitamos a alguien, entidad pública, que controle esta situación. Un pueblo o un ayuntamiento que sea sostenible. Cogemos algunos de los ayuntamientos más sostenibles de Granada. Si vais un poquitín más abajo de la Universidad de Granada, tenéis el ayuntamiento de Monachil. Entonces hemos implicado al Ayuntamiento de Monachil, que tiene parte de Sierra Nevada, Parque Natural de Granada, lo tenemos implicado también en el proyecto. Las universidades que os he dicho, simplemente para que os hagáis un poco la idea de cómo son, cuál es su logo y cómo trabajan. En estas universidades tenemos 3 objetivos principales que más o menos es lo que os he comentado. Es la creación y desarrollo de un modelo de negocio, una herramienta de modelo de negocio que nos permita ser sostenibles en el tiempo. Es decir, lo que estamos haciendo ahora, vamos a intentar resolver todos los problemas que tenemos. De hecho, muchas de las iniciativas que se han comentado aquí en el foro pueden dar lugar, que lo comentaré luego un poco Gracia, pueden dar lugar a que tengáis un sobreturismo aquí en Melilla. Y que vamos a traer muchos turistas, pero ¿qué vamos a hacer cuando tengamos demasiados turistas? ¿Cómo vamos a resolver esa situación? Pues en eso consiste. Luego, ¿cómo se aplica esto a las pequeñas y medianas empresas y en los institutos de educación superior, en las facultades o escuelas o institutos? Luego vamos a crear un manual para ayudar a los distintos territorios, a las distintas universidades para trabajar y por último vamos a establecer ese diseño futuro o ese pensamiento futuro de trabajo. Teniendo en cuenta ya esta información, voy a empezar con su presentación, que la voy a presentar ya en inglés. Os voy a repetir dos ideas de aquí simplemente. Y sería que que tenemos turismo en masa, tenemos que solucionarlo. Y ahora, we have 6 partners in this project. We have more than 100 students involved on this project and some companies from different universities. In our case, we got 5 companies in March in Granada because we were working in Granada. One of them was with Gracia, is Federico García Lorca Center, and the students try to create innovative solutions to the challenges of foro tourism. And we try to increase the sustainability in this project. In this sense, what we did is, I repeat this one, but we did is to find the problems. That's all the problems we have, too many people, problems with local people, the heritage going worse, in fact the cultural heritage going worse, and that is a real problem for society. Look at Barcelona, when they are in Ramblas of Barcelona, people don't want tourists to be there. And that is a problem for the city because we need this income in the city, but also in the country. So it's a real problem. Then we are trying to solve it. And the final problem we found, in general, there are many specific problems, is the low quality experience. In this sense, what we did is to try to train the students or companies to be sustainable, to try to work together between all of universities, be or have more sustainable services for tourism and increase the awareness of this problem in different countries. We select, as you see, different countries on the north of Europe, but also Spain, and in this case, Arcus Alliance, Italy, and countries where tourism is quite important. And for that reason, we are working with some workshops. And if you don't mind, I'm going to stop here of presenting. I'm going to give my speech to Jamie.
Thank you very much, Rodrigo, and thank you for the invitation. And yes, I'm Jami Riihihukta from Laurea, Finland, and I'm senior lecturer and also very much involved in the Motion project. And we have a lot of activities in the project, and one of the key elements is intensive study weeks and study programs, which we are arranging in each region. And together with the students, we have 20 students, 10 teachers, and 5 companies always attending to study weeks. And the outcome is that we all learn. The students learn new methodology, and the companies will learn. And the key is that we can plant at least some seed of thought in the companies, and also we learn every intensive week something. This is the pedagogy that we are using during the intensive weeks. So in the middle with different colors we have the basic design thinking model. So we start with empathizing on the first day, usually Monday. And empathizing means that we try to find out the real challenges which the companies or organizations are facing. And then we define the challenges after that. And then we go to ideation and innovation, where we use usually brainstorming or different models to have ideas for the companies. Then in a short time, we try to prototype these services and then finally test also with real customers and users. And to make it more complex, we have added futures thinking parts to the process. So we have created the motion model for sustainable business, which we are using. And then we have some interaction. We estimate the probability and importance of different megatrends, drivers that we need to construct the scenarios which are in here written in sustainable scenarios. And with those, we create visionary concepts for the companies. And the aim of all this is also to build resilience for the companies so that they can look to the future a bit further away than a few years. So basically, strategy work for the companies is 3 to 5 years. So we try to look beyond 5 years. Our scope usually is 10 years, like we had here in the workshop. 10-year scope. This is some examples of student work. So they built 4 scenarios and they selected drivers that they think is the most valuable or important for the case companies and organizations. And also we create the black swan, which is usually emerging suddenly. So this can be like now we had pandemic, it's a black swan, and also we have a war going on in Europe. So that is also affecting to all markets. So that is also can be called as a black swan scenario. And these are the things that companies, organizations need to be prepared because nothing will going to stay the same. And then there is ideation based on the scenarios. So the students create ideas for the companies, and here they have created different innovations for each scenario in the future. And some pictures from Rovaniemi, Finland, where they were last spring. And that's on the left up corner. And then maybe you can recognize the right-hand side from Granada. And then down below in the middle there is a group picture from Torun, Holland. And also the midnight sun from Rovaniemi. That's after midnight, I think. The photo was taken. And then in the middle the student working in the intensive week. Another activity which we have as an outcome is a new way of creating resilient and dynamic business models. And we started already in the beginning of the project with the challenge that actually it's not a challenge, but 80% of small and medium-sized companies working in the tourism markets, they are 80% of the market field. And also the World Tourism Organization has stated that one of the key elements to enhance small businesses' abilities to survive is to build resilience. And first we started, this is not a research project, but we did a bit research also here. So we did a literature review and we had 12,000 results at the first search, and then we narrowed it down to 200 articles, which we handpicked 41 articles to read, and we tried to find out the key dimensions of business modeling. And we found 72, and also we found sustainability, futures thinking, and dynamic capability dimensions amount of 12. And then we had a workshop with the experts from Granada and from Kiel, Germany, and Finland and Poland. And we innovated a new motion model for sustainable business, where we thought that the core things, like in fruits, the seeds are most important. So the seeds are in the middle. So we located the most important things of each company in the middle. So there we have resources, customer identification, and value proposition. And to move forward from the center, it's really important to first check the sustainability issues, because we don't have a future without sustainability. So from the core, when we move towards the outer layers, we need to think that are our resources sustainable? Is our way of making business sustainable for the society? And after that, everything we do, if it's already tested in the beginning, it's automatically sustainable. So that's why it's located right next to the core things in the middle. And then you need to find room from the markets. So always you need to check where is the niche or the opening for your idea or your businesses. Then the outer layer is monetization first. So how the company makes profits. And of course we need more and more networks and partners called ecosystem a lot, so ecosystem building. And finally, we need to design the customer interface and value delivery. And here the customer interface means all the traditional sales, marketing, and customer service activities. So it's under one topic. And that is because in online world we cannot no more say that which part is sales and which part is marketing, it's combined. Also, when you go to online shop, you see the customer service there live, so it's also included in the customer interface. And how do we build resilience for these companies is that we create a present situation for the company. So what is the current model of each case company's business? And after that we use heat map to solve that in each scenario how strong they are. If the scope of foresight is 10 years, how strong they are in each scenario. And if we find out that in, for example, scenario number 4, they are not that resilient, they are going to have a big impact on their income, so we need to innovate new solutions for the companies. And the further in the middle the innovation gets, the more important it is. So if the company needs to change their core values or core resources, it's a huge change for any company. And if the scenario will have an effect directly to the middle, then they need to be prepared. Here is the process. So we create the present situation, then we use the heat map for the future scenarios. So like in here, in example, scenario number 3, this company is really having issues on their operations. And when we move forward to step number 3, we can have innovations to make the company more resilient in order that they can survive in all possible cases in the future. This is an example of the student work from Poland. So first they created the current situation, then they went to future situation in one scenario, and the final result is on the right-hand side, which is quite green. So they were quite optimistic about their innovation, that it will have a huge impact on the case company. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you, Yami, for the interesting presentation of the project. Now the presentation is going to take about Gracia, and she's going to speak about Patrimonio Mundial of the Ciudadela de Melilla, para la ciudad de Melilla, which is the touristic meaning. ¿Español o inglés? ¿Qué prefieres?
Hombre, prefiero español, ¿eh?
Pues tú.
Más que nada porque, bueno, creo que el auditorio es más de Melilla.
Sí.
Yo entiendo que ellos van a quedar un poco más desplazados. El planteamiento de patrimonio mundial y su significado turístico viene de que el año pasado ya salió este tema en el primer foro. Entonces, a partir de ahí nos planteamos de que, bueno, buscar ser patrimonio mundial tiene ese significado turístico que podemos... Es lo que os comentaba, esto éramos los del año pasado y ahora supongo que tendremos la otra foto de familia. Cuando en una guía turística consultamos y aparece algo catalogado como patrimonio mundial, es cierto que ya sabemos y pensamos que vamos a encontrar algo muy importante que va a merecer la pena conocer. Pero, ¿sabemos realmente de qué estamos hablando? ¿Patrimonio de la humanidad? ¿Patrimonio mundial? ¿Qué es? De los que estáis aquí, ¿qué pensáis? ¿Que es un concurso de belleza patrimonial? ¿Que es una marca comercial? Sí, perdón. Sí, lo sé perfectamente. Estoy haciéndoos una pregunta a lo que la gente en general piensa. Es un concurso de belleza, es una marca comercial, es un distintivo de calidad, es una imagen de prestigio, es un programa de restauración de patrimonio. En realidad, cuando tú se lo preguntas a la gente que no está dentro del mundo del turismo o del mundo de la cultura, realmente le parece simplemente un sello de calidad, ¿no? Y en el fondo es un poco todo. Para la persona que está fuera, piensa que es algo que le va a reportar una buena experiencia. Si nos damos cuenta, todo el día hemos estado hablando de que desde todos los segmentos turísticos buscamos emociones y experiencias exclusivas. Luego, cuando vemos una marca como Patrimonio Mundial, piensas que vas a ver algo que realmente se sale fuera de lo normal. Ese es el planteamiento turístico que evidentemente viene, como ella nos comentaba, hay una lista de patrimonio, hay todo, porque todo esto no empieza, todo esto no empieza así como así. Esto empieza en el año 79, 78, cuando la UNESCO decide que va a proteger una serie de elementos patrimoniales en el mundo que están en peligro. Y de hecho, en los 10 primeros monumentos que se hacen, 4 o 5 están en Egipto, en Túnez, en Etiopía, hay un montón que están en África, ¿vale? Luego vamos a retomar este tema. Y a partir del año 79 empiezan las ciudades, sobre todo europeas, a pensar que ellos tienen la capacidad de ser declarados Patrimonio Mundial. En Granada, por ejemplo, que cuando vemos la lista de Patrimonio Mundial, que en España la tenemos, pasando la de atrás, la tenemos como un sello fundamental. Realmente ocurre que cuando en el año 84 declaran la Alhambra Patrimonio Mundial, pues todo el mundo piensa que es lo normal, que la Alhambra tiene que ser Patrimonio Mundial. Realmente hay un trabajo detrás que luego veremos y que es necesario hacer para poder ser Patrimonio Mundial. La UNESCO tiene una serie de reglamentaciones muy estrictas para ello. Pero ¿qué nos pasa? Yo voy a hablar un poco del ejemplo de Granada. En el año 94 se decide que la Alhambra va a extender su declaración, va a ser un sitio patrimonio mundial y que el Albaicín va a estar dentro de esa declaración. Yo ya estaba trabajando en aquellos años, entonces ya llevo unos años en el ayuntamiento y hicimos unas jornadas propiciadas evidentemente por UNESCO Andalucía, porque ya teníamos que tener una estructura. Ya las exigencias de patrimonio mundial habían subido un escalón y teníamos que tener una organización autónoma del ayuntamiento que gestionara todo el espacio. En el caso de la Alhambra es fácil porque la gestión, bueno, tienes una puerta, abres y cierras. Pero en el caso del Albaicín ya tenía que ser otra gestión. ¿Qué pasa entonces? El Albaicín se nos vuelca pensando que va a ser una declaración para conseguir dinero para rehabilitación, que va a ser que van a empezar a llegar turistas por las esquinas, en fin. Pasan 2 años y ya os digo que toda la población se vuelca esperando que los casi 2 millones de visitantes que hay enfrente del Albaicín lleguen o sea, que están en la Alhambra, enfrente del Albaicín, lleguen al Albaicín. Justo antes de la pandemia, en el 19, hicimos por la Universidad de Granada, hicimos otro foro con todo el público del Albaicín y lo que nos pedían, por favor, era que sacáramos los turistas del Albaicín. Os puedo decir que en 10 años, estamos hablando del año 94, en 10 años, al 19, en 15 años, habíamos cambiado en el Albaicín de no tener ni una sola plaza hotelera, ni una, a tener entre plazas hoteleras y apartamentos turísticos, pues estamos llegando a los 8.000 y pico. Entonces, realmente, aunque hay un apoyo todavía de la población, no podemos cansar a la población y es una cosa que ha salido antes. Si quieres me pasa, por favor. Si quieres me pasa, realmente no podemos cansar a la población. ¿Qué significa esto para el turismo? Que una declaración de patrimonio mundial realmente al final es un sello de calidad es un sello referente, es algo que le sirve a todos los segmentos turísticos, y antes estábamos hablando de los yates y de todos los que podían venir, y realmente si vienen y ven que hay algo patrimonio mundial, es un plus de marca de calidad que va a tener el destino. Realmente, ¿cómo conseguir la declaración de patrimonio mundial? Es importante, lo más importante, que realmente... Pásame la siguiente. Ahora sí. Pensar que lo que empezó como una figura de protección se ha convertido en el prestigio mundial de la autenticidad y la conservación. Primero porque la UNESCO es suficientemente dura con nosotros, de hecho nos ha puesto en más de una ocasión, sobre todo al Albaicín, para entrar en la lista de patrimonio en riesgo de que te quiten la calificación de patrimonio mundial. Y en los próximos años, por supuesto, el respeto a la sostenibilidad y a todos los ODS, que ya los tenemos muy interiorizados, va a ser fundamental para que lo podamos mantener. El turismo en realidad es la comercialización de la cultura, y realmente lo que se necesita es que se combine con el desarrollo sostenible de los pueblos. Y la necesidad de que el impacto del turismo se controle y permanezca como elemento dinamizador, pero no sobrepase la capacidad de acogida que tiene el sitio. Pero fijaros si la UNESCO ha pensado que es tan importante el turismo, como que ha sacado una página web con National Geographic haciendo unos viajes del patrimonio mundial para promover el turismo sostenible en la Unión Europea. Imaginaros el impacto, que hablábamos de imagen cuando hablábamos hoy del cine, el impacto de un National Geographic con una UNESCO generando itinerarios con la marca Patrimonio Mundial. Pero no solo eso, sino que lo que harán será también un negocio en el sentido de que vas a tener unos hoteles recomendados, vas a tener unos restaurantes recomendados, vas a tener una gastronomía recomendada. Esto empezó en el año 20 antes de la pandemia y supongo que se ha quedado un poco parado. Pero lo que sí nos estamos dando cuenta es que la cultura también tiene que vivir del turismo, y es posible que muchas veces donde tú no puedas hacer un ingreso directamente por una entrada, como nos pasa en el Albaicín, puede ser que lo tenga de esta manera, intentando a través de otros servicios como guías, como servicios turísticos, que sea la propia página web de la UNESCO la que nos esté dando el sello y la marca de calidad que estamos buscando. Si paso yo a la siguiente, ¿puedo pasar a la siguiente? ¿Qué es lo primero que debemos conseguir si Melilla quisiera optar a ello? Pues evidentemente lo primero que tenemos que conseguir es que la ciudadanía quiera. Posibilidades. Después de queríamos que hubiera estado hoy aquí el presidente de UNESCO Andalucía, que depende también, está con la Universidad de Granada, y estuvimos haciendo un primer análisis. Realmente, como posibilidades, tienen bastantes posibilidades de hacer. Pero lo que se necesita realmente es tener un objetivo común. Ahí he puesto lo de las 7 maravillas y la Alpujarra porque, por poneros dos ejemplos. Yo creo que era el año 2007. En el 2007 se hizo, eso sí era un concurso de belleza, las 7 maravillas del mundo, ¿no? ¿Os acordáis? ¿Algunos que sois más mayores? De las 7 maravillas del mundo, Granada quedó la 8ª, pero bueno, no llegamos a ser la 7ª. Pero realmente la ilusión que generó en la ciudad de Granada el intentar conseguir ese objetivo fue una movilización que no habíamos visto hasta entonces. El otro ejemplo que os decía de la Alpujarra, no me quiero entretener por no abrir más, es que hace unos años también, en 2016, la Alpujarra intentó ser sitio patrimonio mundial. Al final la población no estaba convencida de que eso era bueno para ellos mismos. Entendían que no iban a tener unos beneficios suficientes y que no querían algo como que les coartara en cierto sentido su actuación. Luego ese proyecto se quedó varado, ¿no? En este caso yo creo que tenemos, y ya os digo que hemos hecho una primera aproximación, Melilla tiene muchas posibilidades de conseguir ser patrimonio mundial. ¿Por qué? El hilo conductor que hemos encontrado son los cubos del norte de África. Los cubos del norte de África significan todas las fundaciones que Carlos V hace para proteger las costas españolas a partir de estas plazas del norte de África. Y en unos estudios que hay bastante someros, nos hemos encontrado que estos están relacionados, están Orán, Mazalquivir, Bujía y Trípoli. Es cierto que desde el UNESCO nos transmiten también que para las declaraciones nuevas en Europa lo tenemos bastante complicado porque hay mucha declaración ya hecha, pero en África, desde aquellas primeras que os comenté, no se han vuelto a hacer declaraciones de patrimonio mundial. Luego vamos sumando puntos, ¿no? Y sobre todo porque ahora lo que quieren, como hemos visto antes en la página de National Geographic, quieren itinerarios. Son patrimonio mundial que vayan conectados unos con los otros. Con lo cual, lo que nos queda es diseñar una estrategia, saber si la población realmente quiere, consensuar con la ciudad esa declaración conjunta con otros sitios y otros valores complementarios locales. Este desarrollo de la declaración y la diferencia de percepción de las comunidades es lo que nos va a dar ese segundo paso, ese segundo escalón que UNESCO va a valorar. Y sí os quería decir, esta noticia no la habíamos pinchado, pero pinchármela por favor, porque hace 15 días me encontré con esta noticia. Cartagena está pensando ya en la declaración de su puerto Patrimonio Mundial también con Trípoli. Cartagena compartirá con Líbano y Túnez su candidatura a Patrimonio Mundial. Han empezado ya en la línea que os estoy comentando de red. Me diréis, ¿esto tiene mucho que ver o no tiene que ver? Tiene que ver porque cuando se hacen declaraciones de Patrimonio Mundial, realmente no es que compitas, pero sí estamos en un mismo país, en realidad estamos en España, con un problema bastante importante porque tienes que contar con otros países y con un camino que no es fácil. Y él decía que vamos a tener en el futuro, si en el futuro tenemos algo como una declaración de patrimonio mundial, tenemos que pensar que tenemos por delante como 10 años vista. Y no exagero, porque el camino es duro. Pero algunos lo han empezado, Cartagena, por ejemplo. Entonces tenemos que ponernos en contacto con ellos porque igual nos interesa sumarnos a algo o no, no lo sé. Realmente los factores para esta declaración son la organización local, que realmente existe en Melilla, la restauración ya la tenéis realizada, la situación geopolítica, que ya hemos visto la importancia que tiene, y que tenemos un centro UNESCO Andalucía que pertenece a la Universidad de Granada y la Universidad de Granada está aquí. En realidad nos falta que Melilla quiera. Y solamente quería poner una cosa final. Realmente empezar a trabajar en un camino siempre es bueno porque ilusiona, como decía antes, a la ciudadanía. Pero nos encontramos que a mitad del camino nos podemos encontrar otros sellos de calidad, entre comillas, patrimonial, que nos pueden ser como un primer paso hacia la declaración de patrimonio mundial. La European Heritage Level es realmente bastante nueva, lleva también como un par de años. Lo primero que se hizo fue el Camino de Santiago, recordáis que se ha hecho como el Camino Europeo, el Camino de Santiago, y ya hay salida pues, desde Finlandia, from Norway, from Finland you have the way to Santiago. You have I know there is from Denmark, there is from Finland, I don't know. Hay un camino que sale ya desde Noruega y desde Finlandia para llegar que ya está marcado, precisamente porque se han metido en la red europea. Luego, hay distintas posibilidades y lo que hay que pensar es que si Melilla quiere acceder a ello, porque las mimbres desde luego las tienen. Gracias.
Perfecto, gracias. Muchas gracias por también muy interesante. Ahora vamos a coger, voy a presentaros, cuando la presenté voy a daros el paso a Francesca Bassi. Ella va a hablar de turismo, economía circular y sostenibilidad, temas que están muy candentes además en este foro y desde el punto de vista de la estadística.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the invitation. This is my first time in Melilla, and I'm really very happy to be here. So I am, as you can read, Associate Professor of Economic Statistics at the Department of Statistical Sciences of the University of Padua, and this explains my title. So what is my message? My message starts from a quotation from Lord Kelvin, the inventor of the scale to measure temperature. It is quite a famous quotation. He used to say, if you do not know, if you cannot measure something, you cannot improve it. So I prepare many slides, but since we do not have much time, I will skip some. But what I want to say you is this, remember that if you want to improve your business in tourism, your sustainability, in the practice of traveling, of making holidays, if you want to satisfy more your customers that are your tourists, you must know your people, your tourists, you must know who they are, where they come from, what they want. So this is my message, and all the slides want to say this. On the right? Okay. So I'm coming here, I said I must know something about tourism in Spain, and so I started looking in the website of the Spanish Statistical Institute, and there are some numbers. Some numbers are more recent, some less recent, but in any case, these are official numbers, so you can trust them because they are measured by the National Statistical Institute, so their quality is guaranteed. And for example, this infographics was published just last week, and the data comes from a survey which is called Travel Survey, if I do not make mistake. And you can know everything about tourism in Spain. These, for example, are the numbers of the numbers of travels by Spanish people in Spain for tourism. You may see that the numbers are very big numbers, but you know this better than me. The touristic sector is very, very important for this, for the economy of your country. It is almost 20% of the gross domestic product, so it is a very important sector. And these are the numbers regarding Spanish tourists in Spain. The graph, which is in the lower part, shows very clearly the big effect of the pandemic. Of course, tourism is a seasonal phenomenon, but you can see very well the big effect of the pandemic. But you can also see that something good is starting to happen. These data refer to the second quarter of 2022. So the numbers are increasing, and they are about the same numbers before the pandemic. This instead is another important segment of the tourism in this country because it refers to people coming from abroad. The data refers to last July, and as you may see, there were almost 10 million tourists coming from abroad to Spain. And these tourists, if you compare this graph with the graph that I showed before, these tourists stay here longer and they spend, of course, more. So it is a segment that you must know, you must understand very well. Then I have other numbers, but I skip them. I only stop here because this is some data that I could find about Melilla. There is not much in the National Statistical Institute about Melilla, maybe because it is a small portion of the country. But in any case, these are the numbers of tourism in Melilla referring to last July. So you see that you had more than 4,000 people coming here, and the numbers are the same also for the months of May and June. And also in Melilla, you see the numbers are recovering very quickly after the pandemic. This I skip. I want to show this because this is interesting in my opinion. This data compares the number of tourists July 22 to July 21. And of course 21 was we were still in the pandemic but moving a little bit more. With reference to Spain, tourism from July 22 to July 21 doubled, so plus 95%, but in Melilla, you see, it was 3 times more. So from 21 to 22, something here very good happened, and you had a very good increase. Another important data that I want to show you with this table is just look at the last line. This is 2022, but 21, but I believe that the proportions are the same also in 2022. What I want to show you is that in Spain, considering the whole country, 1/3 of tourists come from abroad. In Melilla, only 12%. This is a simple evidence, but important in my opinion, because it means that here you can work on this. So if you are able to get known outside Spain, you can increase very much your touristic industry. And this is this table refers to Spain. I could not find it, unfortunately, for Melilla. This is the distribution of tourists coming from abroad to Spain. I try to make bigger the proportions of tourists that are most present in your country. The first ones are tourists from France, then you have many tourists from Germany, then UK, and then also non-negligible proportions, almost 6% from Italy and also from the Netherlands. Why do I show you these figures? Because these tourists are different. They come from different countries. They look for different things when they come here. And in this survey, you can find many useful information in this sense. This is one of Eurobarometer surveys. It is a series of surveys that are conducted by the European Communion. Every year, many surveys on European citizens, on industries. This is a very recent one, data just released, and the interviews were made in October 2021, so after the pandemic. And a sample of European citizens was interviewed in all 27 countries, and the topic was tourism. So as you may see, travel behavior, and especially asking people, did you change your traveling and holiday behavior after the pandemic? Then other information, how do you book your trips? Why do you choose specific destinations? And then a section on sustainability. So what do you think about sustainable tourism? And also on behavior, asking intentions. Are you prepared to change your behavior to be more sustainable when you travel, when you make holidays? These are the frequencies, for example, to one of the questions in this survey. This is the question, what long-term effects, if any, do you expect the COVID pandemic will have on your traveling behavior? So as you may see, the most used answer with the highest frequency is more attention to health and safety measures, then more holidays in your own country. But what I want to underline is that this is a sort of ranking of the answers at European level, the whole sample. What it is important is that there is a lot of variability between European countries and also within these countries. For example, I consider the countries of the tourists mostly coming to Spain, and I compared their answers to the average level. So you may find Germany, Spain, France, Italy, the Netherlands. If you look at the red numbers, we cannot go through everything for the time, but the message is these tourists are not the same. They do not behave in the same way. For example, the Spanish are those who mostly said that the COVID had an impact on their attention to health and safety measures. Tourists coming from other countries are less involved with this item. And as you may see from the last column, for example, tourists coming from France, Italy, and the Netherlands, they said more than average in the sample that for them there was no special effect after the pandemic. Another question, the idea is the same, differences between countries, is when you choose a destination to visit, which of the following are most important? Again, this is the ranking, but at European level, and but again, tourists from different countries look for different things when they come here, or when they travel, when they take holidays. For example, the Germans and the Spanish, they look for cultural offerings. French and Dutch, they look very much at price, or the German are pay a lot of attention to the natural environment and so on. And finally, the question about sustainability and sustainable tourism. Are you prepared to change your travel and tourist habits to be more sustainable? If so, in which of the following ways? So in general, more than half of these people said, I will change in the sense that I will consume locally sourced products on holiday. But as you may see from these bars, there are important differences between tourists coming from different countries. So the message is, tourists from different countries look for different things, have a different attitude towards sustainable tourism, are prepared to make in action different circular economy actions to be more sustainable when they travel. And also there are differences within countries, so people of different age, of different gender, of different cultural background also are different in this sense. I show you only very quickly this last exercise. This is a sort of cluster analysis. This is a statistical instrument, quite common. It is used to identify groups of people or groups of units that are similar. So using this data, I identified groups of European citizens, 7 groups that are identified by the colors, from the greenest ones to the more red, which means that the greenest are those who have a better attitude towards circular economy, towards sustainability in tourism. The bars represent European countries. And so in each bar, you see that there are different mixtures of this type of tourists. For example, in the 5th bar, there is a lot of green. So it means that in these countries, which a little bit surprisingly are Romania and Sweden, there is the highest proportion of greenest tourists. This is quite surprising, but this is also official data from the European community. On the other side, in the 3rd bar, class 3, we have more red. So in this group of countries, which is Belgium, Bulgaria, Ireland, Italy, Lithuania, and Portugal, this is less surprisingly. This is, I was expecting this. In this group, we have the tourists who are less prepared to change to be more sustainable. But we could say many things about this data, but as I said, as a statistician, my message again, the message with which I started my presentation. So, of course, sustainability and circular economy in tourism is extremely important to preserve resources, the natural environment, but it can be also an instrument to attract tourists if you know what they are prepared to do, what they look for. And in this way, you can increase tourist satisfaction, and this can be also a value added to your business. So in this sense, the role of statistics is extremely important because statistics allows you to collect good quality data, not only, but to transform this data in information to take strategic decisions. This is all. I hope it was on time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Francesca. And now we are going with the last presenter, is Professor Eduardo Spirallevas. I told you he's from geology and he's going to speak about geostrategy and it's important for tourism. So, Eduardo.
So, thank you very much. Buenos tardes. I'm from Lithuania, from North Europe, live by the Baltic Sea, and this time I'm located very far away on the coast Mediterranean Sea, but geographically in Africa. And thinking about the different places which we have around the world, and also Europe, first of all, we have to mention the borders, the boundaries, the enclaves, exclaves, and different geographical positions. In this map, you can see Baltic countries as Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia. We have our great neighbor, Russia, and also we have exclave of Russian Federation between Poland and Lithuania. This territory right now is closed. No communication, no interaction, but before this geopolitical catastrophe, we communicated for more than 20 years and created a lot of common touristical products, touristical routes, a lot of common projects implemented, education, thematic tourism, sustainable tourism, and many other kinds of tourism. And first of all, we have to have in mind one, I would say, very much important geographical rule that all over the world, there is no any place which will has not convenient geographical location. We cannot say that one country, one region located in very good geographical location, another one country, another region has got a very bad geographical location. It doesn't work in this way anymore because every geographical location is perfect, is unique, it's very much promising, but first of all, depending on our understanding, on our comprehension, knowledge, and strategy, and geostrategy, how we're supposed to use this geographical location for many different extents. Like on the context European Union countries, you can find the territories of European Union above the Arctic Circle in the north. We can also find the territories of European Union in Africa, like Ceuta and Melilla. We also can find them in Caribbean basin, also in South America. And all the time, we have to keep in mind that all these places are very much unique. And first of all, what about the geostrategy? Basically, geostrategy comes from many different factors and from many different issues. And for example, we have to have in mind, first of all, geographical location and geopolicy. And geopolicy also indicates, or geopolitics indicates a situation for the region within the neighbors. I mean that we do not count the situation internally, how Melilla, for example, looks like in the context of Spain, but basically we have to indicate how Melilla looks in the surrounding area within neighboring territories. And for that reason, it's very much important aspects here are coming from physical and human geography. We see the coast, we see the snow, we see the mountains, hills, and rocks. We see, I would say, also different quality of drinking water here. And we see a lot of different cultures, mixture of cultures, of English language, Spanish language, and Arabic, and Jewish, and many nationalities also are located here. Further up, we also have to think about the strategic planning. Because without strategic planning, without the vision, and without the highlighted strategical points, we cannot create a network which is supposed to facilitate the development of tourism, different activities. And then afterwards is coming spatial planning. Spatial planning is important for that, and also a little bit curious that there is no any theory, there is no any clear methodology how we have to provide the spatial planning, but in most of the cases it depends on our logical understanding, on our wishes and desires, in which extent we want to be located many different industries, services, infrastructure, things related to accessibility, and so on. And spatial planning, I would say, also important because in Melilla I saw a lot of fences around, also within Melilla and outside Melilla, bordered to Morocco, and fences at the airport and fences by the Mediterranean Sea. But these fences are physical fences, but it's very much important that these fences couldn't be in our minds, trying to think about additional factors of attractiveness to come to Melilla for many different visitors. And after that, we can talk about the geo-marketing, when it's very much important to create a certain tourist products, which basically can be extraordinary, not repeatable. They can be known, they can be so very unique, and also related to this unique territory. And finally, we can think about different tourism spatial constraints, about different models of business models, models of services, about logistics, accessibility in this unique territory. Besides, what makes very much important Melilla as a place, I would say that this is exclave. We also have exclave between Lithuania and Poland, and also this is exclave, and this is different behavior, and also different typology to be here. And secondly, it's a very big power of geographical knowledge, that geographically you are located in Africa, you are in Spain, you are in Africa, so, and you can give this message for anybody to think about where are you right now, and why the tourists, the potential visitors, they could come here. And geotourism, I would say, maybe it can be kind of the leading branch as an umbrella because of the uniqueness of this geographical place, coast and land and borders and boundaries and very unique history and also very unique social and cultural environment here. And basically the most important factors which can be distinguished are the factors related to cultural, urban and maritime tourism. In fact, when we have in mind urban and maritime tourism, I would say that we can talk about them together. Because tourists who come by cruise ships, they are not only maritime tourists or cruise ships, but also they are urban tourists, because their activities also related to many different urban places, not to mountains, not to rural places, but to urban places, cities, towns, and so on. And on the other side, we can see very much important relations, which can be created, supported, and tied to external environment as kind of networks, to be in the networks and in different relations. I would say very much important issue is related to cross-border cooperation, because for any kind of exclave territories, cross-border cooperation is important, even though there is a land border. And also we have to think about the geoeconomy, how economy is related on this unique geographical location. So it's a bond of many different factors, of many different circumstances, which should emerge unified into one system, and to basis of that, it's also possible to create a strategical point of view related to development and positioning of this place. Well, I'm from Lithuania, and when I studied geography, I really know that, I really knew that before that Spain has got two cities in North Africa, Ceuta and Melilla, that there are many borders, and also it's these territories located in Morocco, and that's it. That's all the message. And for example, in East European countries, we don't have any so much information about Melilla, also about Ceuta, but when you try to search some data on YouTube and to get more information, you see the migrants, migration, you see the fences. Yes, you also see some political disputes, but that's the question, what about the tourism? But basically, tourism here exists, and this is evidence. And here there is a collage of different pictures. For example, here on the top, on your left side, there is a territory between Estonia and Russia, Narva and Ivangorod. It's a city which is basically divided historically into two parts. One part located in Estonia, second part located in Russia. There is also on the top, on your right side, it's a town, Valga and Valga, between Latvia and Estonia. It's a border town, it's a border place. And also on the bottom, on the left side, we see a river, and one place is urbanized. This is Russia, and then you see the bridge, and this is the territory of Lithuania. And for example, we have like many unique places in Northern Europe, like a place of Svanholt, which is located in Norway, where it's the boundary of Norway, Finland, Russia, and comes to one triple point. And basically, these border areas are very much important because they has potential to attract a lot of tourists who have, I would say, special interest, and also would like to have many different and experienced challenges. Well, this picture is taken from Lithuanian-Russian boundary, as my country has got a border to Russia about 300 kilometers, and with Belarus more than 700 kilometers. Lithuania is a member of EU and NATO, but we still have a lot of very, very similar places like Melilla has border with Morocco. Today in the morning I went to this boundary, checked everything, and so I like it very much. And I saw that the border is working, open interaction, and this is very good to have these different flows. We also have a lot of refugees coming from Belarus. Yes, we have this metal wire fences and so on, and so this is the reality. But nevertheless, Lithuania attracts per year about 2.8 million international visitors, and this is very good data for Nordic countries. I know that in Spain, like millions of tourists every year, but if we have got 2.8 million, we can be so very proud, because that means we manage everything in a very right way. And basically, thinking about these days and today's pandemic situations and geopolitical situations, and I would say economical situations and inflation affected many communications and also many developments and strategical things, and also formation of geostrategical approaches. But basically, we can think in these three different levels. Like, if we focus on global level, like pandemic, geopolitical, climatic issues can affect geostrategical planning. National level, economic, social, cultural, international relations as well. Local, while there is still lower number of tourists, of visitors, and right now the world is recovering after the pandemic situation. It's a very good time, very good moment to try to think about strategical planning of tourism and also about spatial planning and sustainability. to be prepared and to be ready, because there is a motivation to travel all the time. And people that are traveling almost all the time, and students, and as a process also tending to recovery and to be revitalized all the time. This is the second geographical rule. Well, having in mind many different issues about Melilla, about exclave situations, about very unique territories which we have in different places around the world and also in Europe. And first of all, we have to think about a retrospective approach. We have to know the past very much of this territory in order to understand the processes which are ongoing today. And vice versa. We have to think in a retrogressive approach in order to understand very well the present situation, which can explain for us in very clearly way about the past, which has happened here in these territories. And combination of retrospective approach and retrogressive approach all the times gives for us a new historical knowledge, a new geographical understanding, a new knowledge about international relations, about the geostrategy, about development of networks, and about different models and strategical planning. Well, basically, we can focus also on the following issues, like to be focused on nature environment, on cultural heritage, and also on historical developments. And yes, I mentioned here that maybe there are not so many nature environment in Melilla, but you have cultural heritage, you have historical development, and also there is also a common heritage or common history in this place. And right now, we see many different examples how tourism market basically is recovering after these different pandemical issues and so on. And it was also very good situation what has happened in many countries. That pandemic situation during the period after recovery, first of all, facilitated development of national or so-called local tourism. And I would say that in many cases, we shouldn't make the same mistake. Just when we are used to the planning of tourism, when we're developing everything for international visitors, international tourists, and we just simply forget the national tourists and also the local tourists. Now we have to create the basis for a local national tourism development, which is more resilient, and then on the top of that, we can put decisions related to international tourism. For example, I mentioned that some of the Spanish people also, they came here for the first time in Melilla. And that's why I can make a prognosis that in Spain there are millions of people who never were here. And also for them it's very important, but this is the same sovereign territory of Spain, and so maybe you have to think about revitalization of national tourism and also to attract here muchos españoles de España. Well, and for example, also secondly, very much important that we have to identify local values and also local identities, which are much very important. They have just simply very strong power. Local values, local identities. And this will be very important aspects for geostrategical facilitation. And secondly, if we try to count on international tourism development, we have also to agree on common values and common identities with neighboring countries. This is second very much important rule for this territory. And of course, sustainability, as my colleagues told, always should be supposed on the top as a factor of unification. There are many tourists who are traveling, and basically many tourists, they have a lot of different motives and motivation. But for example, Melilla, we say, is supposed to be for motivated cultural tourists, but also for tourists who doesn't know what they want to see, and also for many different kinds of tourism with this classification, because everyone can find a place to be discovered and also to be revealed in this unique territory. And going for finalization, I would say that we can think about alternative tourism development. like why should we go to Melilla, like from Lithuania, from Latvia, there are direct flights to Malaga and very close to Molinos, for example, but why we have to go to Melilla? And what we find here, what we cannot find in this continental part of Spain, also please try to think about so very critically, but potential is still very high. And I would say that the perspective decision could be also to create alternative solutions, unique concepts for small groups to come here. And Melilla is supposed to be maybe less as opposite place to massive tourism, and also maybe slow tourism, opposite to massive tourism, and should be also highlighted. So basically concerning about the specific tourism, so geotourism, extraordinarity of place and location, limnologic tourism, borders, boundaries, psychological impression to be something very close like to Morocco, to be in Africa, to observe the borders and so on. Also this creates a very high potential, especially for motivated tourists. Tourism of accessibility. It's very interesting to come to a place which is very far away, where accessibility maybe is difficult or maybe it's expensive to come here. Also, it's a good motive because there are many tourists with many different motivations, and maybe probably should implement the concept of slow tourism. And if we focus finally on thematic cultural tourism, that means gastronomic, there were a lot of discussions yesterday as people in Spain like food very much. Not only Spain, but all the people, I suppose. Urban and maritime tourism merge together, creative tourism, creativities, creative industries, and of course, to improve our situation with tourism digitalization. Creative tourism is supposed to be based on local values and identities, and international tourism based on commonly agreed values and identities as well. And first of all, I would say, in the beginning stage, important to think what kind of tourists you are waiting. Local tourists or you're waiting for international visitors. So thank you very much. Spain in Lithuania is very much popular. En Lituania nosotros aprendemos lengua español, pero nosotros no puedo hablar muy rápido como españoles. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Eduardo. Very good Spanish, I told you. Let's see. Como tenemos ahora la oportunidad de escuchar la presentación de la nueva ciudad universitaria de Melilla, lo que vamos a hacer, como van a estar con nosotros toda la tarde, si queréis hacerles el turno de preguntas luego, si tenéis algo de interés especialmente, porque hay algunos temas muy interesantes. Yo tenía preparadas, de hecho, 12 preguntas, así que imaginaos. Ya, no las iba a hacer al final, así que tranquilo. Lo que vamos a hacer, si tenéis interés, luego se los hacéis y damos paso ahora a la última sesión para que podáis presentar la ciudad.